Welcome, everybody. Listen, it's Monday, and I want to welcome you to the Healing Clinic. Listen, I am I'm excited to be on tonight. I think I want to say it's gonna be a hard kind of topic. But your girl is excited to be on tonight for the Healing Clinic. I ask you guys to share with someone you know, tell somebody about the Healing Clinic. Like we're over here where we tell the raw and uncut truth about trauma to triumph. It is often if we talk about trauma, it's like a heavy duty word, but I guarantee you, it's life changing, especially tonight for this show. While we're on, I want to make sure that I invite all of you. Everybody, those of you that will watch the replay, I want to invite all of you to follow us. I mean, if you're viewing us now, that means that you are following us on Facebook. So I want to make sure that you follow us on Instagram. Make sure that you follow us on YouTube. We want to get our followers up. Not only are we on there, but it is such a blessing to even be streaming live on Blog Talk Radio as well. We got to talk about that in a minute about the Blog Talk Radio deal. But I just want to invite each and every one of you to follow us. Tell somebody about the Healing Clinic. Look, if you know me, you know that I tell the truth. I'm very transparent, and what I've found out by way of conversation, that transformation has taken place in many people that have encountered many different things that I've done. So I want to tell you. Tell your sister about it. Tell your friend about it. Tell your boyfriend about it. Tell your girlfriend about it. Tell everybody about the Healing Clinic. Tonight, I decided that I was like, I'm gonna be a little bit more frank. That the Healing Clinic is faith based. It is my marketplace ministry. It is where I am believing that God has His own unique way in causing me to reach the lost, His own unique way in delivering Him and I might throw a scripture out there to you. I might not. But it is by way where I feel like me living my life as an example and being the light in which He is in me, right? And so I just had to say that, like, I got to let y'all know that I love Jesus. I love the Lord. And I know that this particular thing it's an assignment to reach the world because it is time for us to be healed and it's time for us to be whole. And so that's what the Healing Clinic's about, where you're going to come and hear the raw and uncut truth. Like we ain't over here, we ain't cut no corners. We're definitely going to use wisdom with sharing. Like by all means, we're going to use wisdom, but we're not coming here to act like we've had it all together our whole entire life, or we have not experienced a bad breakup, or we ain't experienced making a bad decision. Like here, you're going to hear the raw and uncut truth. And so we want to keep you tapped in. We want you to tell somebody else about us. So make sure you follow us. You follow us on all those different platforms. If you're watching from YouTube, those of you on YouTube, make sure you follow us on Facebook. Those of you on Facebook, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. Help us get our followers up. Like help us. Another thing, even those of you that are on Blog Talk, let me get to you guys. When I say that I am so grateful for this particular platform, like I have someone that does the engineering for Blog Talk Radio, and um, man, the numbers I be getting, like literally, I was told the other day, look, let me kind of go because I don't want to tell y'all no stories about what it was. I had got made notice that Blog Talk Radio, the Healing Clinic on Blog Talk Radio has, well, clearly because we're in the United States, we've reached the whole entire United States. We've reached Canada, we reached the United Kingdom, we reached the Philippines. Like I got noticed that we are streaming in all of those places, so much so that we've had over for the first show, we had over 73,000 listeners. Now, when I was told that, I said maybe 7,300 or maybe 73, and she was like, "No, flat out, it was 73,000." So I am grateful for those that are tuning in on Blog Talk Radio, and as I stated, I think before in the beginning when we talked about the Healing Clinic, we talked about how the Healing Clinic was how it was once Free Talk Radio. Yeah, and I'm doing some kind of doing a few things. So if you see me look somewhere else, I had to click on something. But we talked about the Healing Clinic previously being Free Talk Radio. And on Free Talk Radio, we made international. Like we reached so many places. And so that has been the goal, is to be international, because we want to get the message out about healing. That is the sole purpose of this podcast, is just to talk to you about healing. And so tonight, 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 we got that. We have the topic talking about that healing is messy. And healing, we would think everybody wanted healing. It sounds so beautiful, y'all. To me, it sounds like skipping in the garden with the butterflies and the sun beaming on you. And it can be that, but baby, believe me, if we talking about the garden, them flowers got to start in dirt, the grass got to start with dirt. So healing is messy. Healing can be very, very messy, but it is something so beautiful attached to that. And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight, about healing being messy. And I got my girlfriends, they come back to help me out again. Let me talk about them really, really, really quick. We have Jeri and Shardel that's on tonight. Miss Annie couldn't make it tonight, but let me tell you about them, because we're talking about healing, right? So one thing that I found out about healing, is this statement I heard years ago. It said, don't date nobody when you broken, because when you become healed, um that thing won't be fitting for you anymore. And so I told a friend, I said, you know what? I believe that applies to more than just a romantic relationship. I think that applies, universal in relationships, that once you heal, that the things that you once entertained, that as it apply to friendships, it might not be the same. You're not going to look at it the same. It's not going to feel the same. You're not going. It's just you ain't going to do things the way you used to, and you potentially put yourself in a place where you don't have the same friends. And so I'm thankful tonight that these ladies that are coming on, that we've been able to walk this journey out together. That we got our own mess. We had our own forms of toxicity, but we've been able to grow through those things and still find each other on the other side of it. Like, oh girl, you still here. And so I'm glad that they're coming on tonight, that they want to be transparent about healing, like what healing really looks like, because don't nobody really want to talk about that. I mean, y'all want to be frank, nobody really wants to talk about it. So I want to bring them on tonight. I wanted to make sure that I covered every nugget top thing that I wanted to discuss tonight, because I didn't want to forget nothing. And just shout out to each and every one of you guys that are tuning here tonight. Make sure you comment, make sure you tell your friend. I mean, y'all know me. Those of y'all that know, y'all know. So tell a friend about the healing clinic. Tag them in this post, because I don't know what's gonna be said, but I know we coming to your backyard, we coming to your front door, we coming to your garage door, we come to your job, we coming everywhere you can be. We coming while you at the grocery store. We finna hit on everything that there can possibly be that you have to deal with as it pertains to healing. Like, we finna talk about how healing is messy. And I'm pretty sure it's something we gonna say tonight that's gonna knock at your door. So get in here, tell somebody about it, invite somebody, share the post so somebody else can see it, because we about to have a time. We about to have a time. Those of you on Blog Talk, y'all better slide somebody that phone number so they can get in here. So I'm gonna bring Jeri and I'm gonna bring Shardel in, and we're gonna dive into this conversation. Again, I want to tell you guys, tell somebody, like tell them like right now, like be like, girl, like boy, get on there, because I'm telling you, you're going to be blessed. You're going to be blessed. I know our show, it has a time limit. I'm a little afraid. I'm like, we might push past that time limit, but we want to make sure we get these things out to you and that we have this conversation, because we don't want you to leave out of this space the same. So I won't hold any longer. I'm bringing Miss Shardel in, and I'm bringing Jeri on. So y'all get ready. Y'all better be ready. Get ready. Hi girls. Hi y'all. Hi. Hi. Look, listen, they came in excited. Y'all, we talking about healing.
Hey.
What y'all excited for? Like, y'all know this
It's about to be some mess.
It's about to be some
Yes, it is.
She said it's about to
Woo-wee.
It's about to be some mess. But listen, I'm gonna tell y'all something. It's about to be some mess, but we gonna put the mess out there. So get ready for the cleanup, though. That's what. Let's talk about it. The mess is about to be out there, but get ready for the like. Get ready for the cleanup. I don't know. I don't know, y'all, because healing is messy. Like is y'all ready? Like y'all ready? Listen, let me shout. Let wait. One thing is let me shout out Miss Shardel. Shardel is in the ATL. You in the ATL, right? And
Hmm.
she stayed up late. She was like, "Oh no, 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 no! I am getting on for this
Had to
conversation."
be a part of this
She was
conversation.
like,
This was one I couldn't miss.
I'm not letting this pass. Like I gotta get on." And so I gotta get on. And so I got my notes right here talking about healing is messy, and I'm gonna literally say it how I put it. I said healing is messy. First off, because you have to deal with things you've never dealt with before or attempt to, and make the decision to not to do so. Like, have you ever been in a space? She was like, you know what? I'm gonna work on this. I'm gonna work on that, and when she started to feel that thing was like, nah, I'm gonna get to that later. So, because if we be honest, that's what kind of kept people stuck in their mess longer than what it is. Because it's easy not to do the work. It's easy to walk away from it. It's easy, like you know what, I've been cool doing whatever this bad thing that I've been doing. So let me just stay over here. Let me not put in the work. We hear the statement, yeah, and I'm excited. You hear the statement like, this is just who I am. Like, this is just who I am. People say it all the time, like, that's just who I am. And what they really saying is, I don't want to do the work. Like, I don't like how that feel. Like, just accept me like this because I've been mean my whole life. I've been guarded my whole life. Like, I've been these things my whole life. So in order to come and be unguarded, and I'm gonna talk about myself. I mean, because Shardel is a friend, but we've already discussed that she's a licensed therapist, right? So I went to her, y'all, one time, and I was telling her how I was dating this guy, but I didn't want to hug that man. I was like, I ain't hugging him. And she was like, you just gotta dive into it. I was like, I'm not doing that. I said, what if he pushed me or something? Like, I ain't doing it. Like, he'll just never get a hug out of me. But I'm not finna hug that man. Like, I was so afraid. And people thinking like, really? Like, yeah, if you when you went through trauma and certain different type of things and you've been rejected or many different things can happen, and if we talk about how our body responds to stuff, your body will shut down and like just leave me alone. Like, and that's a part of the messiness because nobody, you can be in a crowd of people. What's so interesting is you yourself can be in a crowd of people and somebody can be triggered right in the crowd and you will never know. Like they probably be over there hyperventilating, trying to keep it all together, and you would never, never know. We got Miss Tam on here talking about, hey girlfriend, hey y'all, hey Tim, hey Keisha. We have Rachel on here. We got just say hi y'all. Look, I'm trying to make sure I engage with you guys too, but it was just so healing is messy. And
We got
so,
somebody from South Africa watching too. Good morning.
wait, who watching
Good
from South?
morning, Miss Rachel,
Oh, Miss Ray. Oh
logged
no,
in from South Africa.
Rachel. So wait, what time is it where you at, Rachel? I'm just
She
intrigued
hit
to
us with the good morning, so it's clearly nowhere around where we're talking about.
listen, here is with a good morning. I listen. Thank you for taking out the time to get on here. I'm excited, y'all. Like I'm really excited, and I'm so excited to dive into this. And so I was when I was saying the whole thing about Shardell in the she's in Cap Town. Listen, let me get my stuff together. I just talked about Jeri. Was that I told somebody today about Africa? I told somebody about Africa
Cape
today.
Town clearly is calling you.
I like, okay, come on, Lord, do your do, Jesus, do your do. Okay. I've been saying things, and it just been like literally. Let me plug this in here real quick because we talking about literally saying a thing out of our mouth, right, and then it be a thing. I told my daughter the other day, and it still is on the this still even talking about healing because you got to get to a place where you learn to even have confidence enough in yourself, right? If you're broken, you don't see yourself how you really, really are, right? You will begin to diminish and you will settle in things like, I'm undeserving of that. If we want to be frank about, going on a healing journey, because before that, there's that brokenness that I will never be, a type thing, And so the other day I was sitting there, and I think I'm do this, y'all. I'm gonna say it with my chest stuck out. I was like, Lord, just let me could I just get an honorary doctorate degree, Lord? Like I don't even you could, I didn't put in a lot of work. I said it's gonna take me a long time to get it. And I can show you guys the post. I literally said it because all the kids graduating, right? I literally said it and I scrolled up, and the next person post I saw was a person getting an honorary doctoral degree. And I told her, I said, baby, I just said this out of my mouth that I wanted this. And I see this. I was like, oh, that's my confirmation. Like, that's all I needed, right? But because we talking about healing, if I tell you before, I wasn't talking about going to get nothing because I was so broken that I couldn't see that. And if you talk about brokenness, just think about putting on some broken glasses. Like you are struggling to see past the cracks in there. Like you really gotta like squinch, like probably lean to the side. Like you can't get the view, you can't get the view for what it really is because your lenses are broken. And brokenness, it's messy. Like that stuff is just so messy. So when it came to Shardel telling me that I had to then put in a work to hug a person, I was just like, oh no, I'm not gonna hug this for the rest of my life. I'm not hugging because it requires me to do something that I'm scared to do. But then you know what, Shardel, the funniest thing that what came to mind was you told me to hug. I told you I wasn't gonna hug, but then the day of the book signing, remember when I hugged my best
You
friend?
hugged everybody, girl. That was like the unlock of the key. And I took pictures of it. I said, oh, she's grabbing and hugging and squeezing.
I was hugging
And
people, and
just the other day, you didn't want
you
nobody touching
you
you.
should have seen my best friend, man. She hurt my feelings because the look on
Picture
her face.
show.
And Shardel literally captured me,
Hmm.
like hugging and kissing her. She looking
She
like
was so
she
confused.
thought she saw a ghost.
She was so
She thought
confused.
it really was a ghost, but it was me pushing past what
Hmm.
I felt, and it felt so nasty, y'all. Like I was like, okay. But I really wanted to express my love. And we show love by way of hugging or you can and I was just like, okay, I gotta do this because I'm excited and I wanted to embrace my friend. I didn't know she was gonna do me like that though. Like I was like, oh. And you if I would put them pictures up there, I was mad at her. I said, you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do me like that. But healing is messy because it's like you gotta work against what you're feeling as it pertains to what something you've been adjusted to your whole life. And the whole thing that's attached to my hugging is my mama and my daddy didn't hug me. Like that wasn't a thing. And I'm not saying that they were bad parents, but they didn't hug. Like that wasn't our thing. It wasn't no hugging and it wasn't no kissing. So how could you do something that was never introduced to you?
Hmm.
How would you be able to do it? And when it came to hugging, even because I wasn't hugged as a child, I didn't hug my kids. And it took for my now about to be 21-year-old. She told me I was a bad mom. She said you was a bad mom because you don't give out hugs and kisses. And I was a broken. I mean, I'm walking her little second grade self to school, and she just, you are a bad mom. You a bad mom because you don't give out hugs and kisses. And I went home, and I remember getting on my knees, and I was praying and asking God to, like, how do I fix this? Because I never wanted my baby to feel like I was a bad mom. And so what I had to do, y'all, because we being frank, we being raw. What I had to do, I came up with a plan. So it was like, ugh, Jesus.
Come
It was
on, talk to the people.
listen, like I had to come. Everybody had an alter ego, so I was no longer Browniesha. It was no longer no Ricky. It was no longer no Mila. We was Jane, Joanne, and Joe. Like them was the names I created for my kids. And so when we turned into Jane, Joanne, and Joe, we was gonna get all the hugs, the kisses. We was gonna roll on the floor. But once them people was put to bed, don't you come asking me for no hugs and no kisses. But it was me trying, like, and I was so hurt because I'm like, these are my kids. How I don't just want to naturally hug them. but because it wasn't something that I was taught. So it was me. That was the messy part, going in and rolling on the floor and hugging, and then y'all might think like I'm talking about alter egos and all that. Yeah, I did it. Like, Lord, bear with me. However, you go give me the tool to get through this. Now I'll be hugging and all in their face, and they looking at me like I'm crazy now. Like, mama, move back. Move back, mama. But now it's overly embracing them. And I honestly feel like more than anything, I want to heal for myself, but I definitely wanted to heal because they're the generation in which is coming behind me. They may have kids, and I want them to be able to embrace and love on their kids because now they are being taught that hugging is good. It's all right to hug, like, ain't nothing wrong. Because I literally used to get this very icky feeling when you hug me. So that's why I never wanted you to touch me. But it was me really saying, like, how much longer am I going to stay this way? How much longer am I going to allow this thing to control me? Or I'm going to now do what I need to do to work on it. And it was not good. I didn't like how I felt. But I had to keep embracing it. And I feel like it was like, I always use this analogy about going to the gym. You go and if you ain't been in a long time, you better start off at like 5 pounds. But then you keep going, and then you can get to that 10. And then you keep going and you can get to that 20. And eventually you go in there and grow. You done picked up about 50 pounds and don't even realize it because you were working a muscle. But you think about also going to the gym. You leave there sweaty. You leave there overworked. You can be tired because it's messy. Like, healing is messy. It is a requirement. It is work, but it is so beautiful because if we still go use the gym, when you come out of there, baby, if you work it like you work it, then there's I don't know about the Coke bottle shape, but you got a new shape. You got something new that got something new that you can now show off, right? But it's work to put in it. And so we talk about healing. Well, I know me, I talk about healing all the time. It is my mission. And it does look pretty, but it is nice that I've cried. It's nice that I was like, forget it. I ain't gonna do it because this is just taking too much. But like, it's been times where I was like, I just go back. I'm talking about the people that would rather go back than move forward. I have been her to say, you know what? I don't want to do that. I want to just hide because I don't want to have to fight up against that battle. Like, because I didn't feel like I was trained for it. And I literally had to go in and be trained for trained for this battle, this journey of healing. And I'm like, I didn't feel like I was equipped for it because I was getting knocked out by trauma. I was getting knocked out by the things that I had to face, knocked out by abandonment, but I wasn't giving up. Like, and people really, sometimes you don't hear the backstory. It's like they see, in church, it's like they see the glory, but they don't know the story. They don't know what you've had to go through in your quiet place, or you got to listen to meditation music, or you can't be around certain family members. You can't go around them. And you know what I'm saying? Because now you trying to change and you might be triggered. Like, it's just so many different things that we could talk about as it pertains to healing being messy. And so it's like I want to try it, but when I get to this place, I might just go back the other way because I refuse to feel that thing. And we can get we'll move on to the next one, but that's a whole nother thing. I don't know if you guys could speak to this. It's it's literally, if you've been one, because I made the decision. I'm telling all my business. I was one that disassociate. So now disassociate mean I don't feel. Disassociate me. I'm finna tap off, going to la la land, so I don't have to deal with this tragedy and this trauma before me. And so I came to a point where I got into therapy, and she was like, "Oh, well, Browniesha, you can't." I'm like, "Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can. I'm finna keep going over there as long as I." But I couldn't. There was nothing in me. That I didn't. She's like, "You ain't got no more disassociation in you." I was like, "Who said that? You can run out? Like, who said you can run out?" But it was the truth. I literally had to face. If it was being abandoned, it was people saying stuff that made I literally had to face it, and it built the muscle. I recently had to deal with grief, and again, yeah, I'm gonna keep calling Shardel because she like my how I want to call it.
I'm the backup. I'm the backup therapist. I'm not the primary one. I'm your friend, girl. I'm your backup.
Child, I don't know about if I want to say this now. And she's my psychotherapist, but she is one that I come to and have conversation if I just feel like I just need to talk. And recently I went through well, I'm currently grieving, but I went through a loss. And I called her and she was like, "You gotta feel it." I said, "No, it's gonna kill me." And I was like, "Something's wrong with you and Connie, my therapist, to tell me that I had to just feel it." And she was like, "Browniesha, feel it. It ain't gonna kill you." I was like, "But you don't understand. I don't want to." I felt like that pain that I had to feel was gonna take me out. Like it was so hurting so bad. It was like my heart was gonna stop. Like that's just how bad it was hurting. And so I'm sitting there one day and it came on me. Like the whole grief just came like tons of bricks. And I'm sitting down there. I mean, my stomach aching, like in the uttermost of my gut. And I just said, Shardel said that I just gotta take it. And I was down there for like 30 minutes. Look at me today. Like I over it did not kill me, but I had to feel it. Was that messy, girl? Yeah, it was messy because I think I was ready to write her off as a friend and fire that therapist to tell
She
me that
wasn't.
I had to
That's a
feel.
lie. That's a lie. And let me plug in why that's a lie, okay? Because on that phone call, when that girl told me it was gonna kill her, I said, "Oh, let it kill you then." And she sat right on that phone and she let it out. And at the end of whatever she felt like she needed to get out in that moment, she was not dead. And I was able to hang up the phone and allow her to continue to let those emotions process. Because a lot of times, like she said, it's okay, you can be mad. Like she said, a lot of times when that feeling comes up on you, you convince yourself not to feel it. You tell yourself it's going to break you. You tell yourself you can't endure. And if somebody says you can, I'm here. And if you can't, I'll be there. It allows you the space to just let it out. And we don't ourselves let it out. We don't give ourselves the grace. We don't give ourselves the space. We convince ourselves and talk ourselves out of it. And so when somebody, it's like you don't hug, but it's like when
I
you
do.
have
I do
that
love
knot. Well,
you.
now you do. When you have that knot in your throat and somebody comes up to you and they're like, "Are you okay?" And you're like, "Oh, I'm fine." And then they just grab you and you just, ugh, right? It's the same thing because all of a sudden they're like, they're recognizing you're not okay. They're recognizing that you need the embrace. And they're also recognizing, hey, if you crumble, I got you. And you, even though it's not communicated, they'll never say, "Oh, let me hold you so you can cry." That's never what's said. But you just naturally know as soon as that embrace just it comes out. And it's one of those things of if we can't do it for ourselves, finding somebody who you can pick up the phone. I mean, I agree with you. When I was going through my divorce, I had my best friend, I would call her and I'd just be like, "I just need to." And she's like, "Go ahead." And I would just break down crying. No conversation, no explanation. She's just like, "Okay, are you okay? You feeling good? All right, I'll call you tomorrow." Because sometimes you just need to know, like, if I can't get out of this, if I can't shake it, if
Yeah.
I fall too deep in this well, because I know I'm falling, if I fall too deep, I need somebody to be there to say, "Hey, you're good. You are good. It's okay." And sometimes it doesn't require a conversation, which kind of goes back to what we said in our last podcast. Like, you need to find your people. You need to know who those people are because sometimes you can't say it. Sometimes it's just, all right, hello? Cry. Like, you know what I mean? And that, all right, I'll call you back. Like, and so it's really just finding where you can do it because sometimes we don't have it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not in our own capacity to say, "Let me lock myself in this closet and cry. Let me lay in the bed," because it does hurt. It hurts the pit of your stomach to the top of your head. You end up with migraines, you end up with stomach aches, you end up not being able to sleep. I mean, the list goes on and on. And sometimes somebody just has to say, like, "You're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Let it
Yeah.
out, cry it out, scream it out, punch it out. You're gonna be fine. I'll call you in the morning."
It's I mean, even what you saying that about the people, I have me and Jeri had a conversation earlier and we talked about she was talking about how I used to be on her phone screaming and hollering because I was in a bad relationship. I mean, it was some days I would call and she'd be like, "Hello." and I'll be like breathing bad loud in the background. Even Tam is listening. She was one of the people too. So it was important to have the people that you could just call. But that stuff, like, it was messy, it was hard, it was irritating. It's like, because then the pain of things, and even have to feel it. Like it was like, man, like Jeri's like, you all right? I'm gonna call your phone back in a minute, like checking to make sure you ain't did the 187 and went off the prison. Like, it was literally like, and I told you I'm coming here to be truthfully honest, but I was like, girl, look at it, look at me, look at us now. Like, we made it out. Like, we definitely made it out. But these are the hard things, that is going through. And it's beautiful on the other side. But baby, as you're traveling through it, it's messy. I think earlier, right at the beginning of the show, I talked about, when you hear healing, I think about the sun, and the sun beaming down with the what's them, it's sunflowers, and the butterflies. Like, it's just this beautiful scene. You hear healing, but all that started from dirt. It started from dirt. It started from something real ugly. It started from something real messy. Like, it started from something else, and it had to grow into that. Like, so that's how I look at the healing journey. It's like, you got to start from the dirt, but there is something so beautiful on the other side of that. And so, yeah, like, oh my God. Yeah. So, the next thing we were going to talk about, it was, and Jeri, this is the one that you said you wanted to speak to. It says, it's messy because of the things that will be exposed. You have to deal with yourself and facing yourself. Like, healing is messy. So, Jeri, I didn't talk enough. You wanted to talk to that. So, I'm just going to dive into the conversation. Like, just dive in. Hear you. Tell her computer, don't be hating. Don't be hating. Thank all of you guys that are tuning in. Make sure you share with someone. While we're waiting for Jeri to come back on, girl, we back to that 73,000, Shardel. As she
They,
says, yes, over 73,000.
they like us.
They do. They
Welcome
definitely do.
back,
Like,
everybody.
we have a great percentage of, well, the United States is on there, but we have a great percentage from that is listening in from Canada. So, you guys, make sure you follow us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, type in the Healing
We
Clinic
usually.
podcast. Yeah, follow. So, you back, Jeri?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Hmm.
Oh yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. um, yes, when we were reading, going through it, I was like, oh my gosh, the things that would be exposed. And I wasn't too much concerned about what was exposed to others. It was what I was seeing about myself, okay? The mirror that I was looking into.
Come on.
Um, in healing. And I'm gonna be very honest. I was praying and drinking, but not drinking where you having like a cocktail where it's just a regular cocktail. No, Jeri was drinking and drunk. Okay, Jeri was praying and drunk. Jeri was talking crap. Call Browniesha. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you got to. Don't talk. Don't tell me nothing. Don't change my mind. Like, I was being very ugly. Oh my God, it was such a nasty side. And that that side of me I've always called Mimi, right? Like, that's my nickname growing up. But that girl didn't care. She was ruthless, she was blunt, she smoked blunts, she rolled blunts, she drank the bottles. I mean, listen. And so when it came time to heal, all of these things were being presented.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, woo! I would wake up, and here's the crazy part: I would get so drunk, and then it would come down, and I would feel so convicted. I would be like, "What is going on with you? What is happening? Like, you cannot act out, girl. You are tripping." And so I was looking at a mirror within myself, even looking at pictures, right? Like videos, like I did what? I was doing what? Like what happened? And in that though, I was still healing. I was coming to a better place. And I love the analogy that you used of the flower or the plant growing because it is in dirt, right? And it is very, very small. And so I was the little girl, broken, hurt, embarrassed, ashamed, lost, unloved, screaming and hollering, throwing a fit on the ground. And God was watering me through this whole process. And I was trying to water myself with alcohol. I was trying to water myself with sex. I was trying to water myself with drugs. And it was just not working. Right after that finish, it was just like, what now? So then when I really saw myself in the mirror, I had to remove all those things that were making it easy for the healing process. Because that's what we want. We don't want to hurt. We don't want to feel pain. We just want it to be so easy. Once I removed those things and I was really able to sit with Jeri and look at Jeri, then I was beginning to get watered and then fertilized and then watered. And then at a time when it gets winter, it's cold, right? And you're covered. And so then I was covered. And then when spring came, it was this whole new person. And I was looking at pictures from back until now, and it's like, I look different. I'm like, well, what happened with my skin? Like, what was going on? Like, I'm lighter. It's just a completely different person. And now I'm grateful for it, right? Going through it, it was a lot of I didn't care yet embarrassment. And then when I sat with myself, I had to go through that process of, okay, Jeri, you can't be embarrassed of what God's trying to do with you. So then I had to go through that, like the shame, the embarrassment. And then that point, I did kind of draw myself. Like I backed up from people. But then I had to understand that I need these people, right? I can't just point fingers. I can't get upset when someone tries to pull my coattail and correct me. So that whole exposure, it wasn't about, I didn't care about anybody else seeing me, right? Like they saw me already. You see me. Now I see myself. And then seeing that I was able to get to where I am now. Me and Browniesha were even talking today. If I did not experience that, the things that I am experiencing now, it would be worse. You understand the feelings that I would feel going through issues with my parents, going through issues with my church, going through issues with friends or my kids or anything that is happening to me. If I did not heal those broken places, oh my gosh, like how would I respond now? But I also had to let her know that God had given me, maybe last week, that he was giving me an everlasting peace. And so even though I'm going through all these things and I healed, now that I'm faced with these issues and these different situations, the broken Jeri isn't responding. The healed and whole Jeri is responding. And so now I'm able to combat these things and face these things and move forward without it being chaotic and without it being crazy. So the exposure truly wasn't about Browniesha and me yelling and going off on her. It was all about Jeri seeing Jeri. And I'm happy about that. It was nasty. It was messy, but I'm happy. I'm happy where I am now.
But even with what you saying that it goes back to what Shardel was talking about, having the right people around you. Because as a friend, she went off on me. She was yelling at me too. But it was no place for me to be walking the fence, like be offended by it, because I could understand. And truth be told, it's hard to deal. If it's hard to deal with other people more than anything, it's hard to deal with yourself. It's really hard to deal. And when you were talking, I was thinking about what's that song by Magic Johnson, "The Man in the Mirror." It's hard to face the part, look you in the mirror, and even
Michael
realize.
Jackson. Magic Johnson is a basketball player.
I'm about to say Magic Johnson, the basketball player.
That's what I meant.
You had a song? That's Michael.
I said Johnson. Whatever that man's name is, Michael Jackson.
You're not even.
That's him.
Wow.
That's what I meant. Y'all know that's what I meant.
If you didn't say the song title, I would have been.
Wait. I was finna call nothing. I ain't finna say that. but I meant Michael Jackson is what I meant. I meant Michael Jackson talking about that man. Look, clarify that that's who I was talking about, the man that is no longer
Oh
here.
yes.
No, but it's something about facing your own self. Like it's really something about they laughing at me on Blog Talk Radio. It's okay. It's something about facing your own self. Like it's good. It's easy to point the finger at everybody else about all the wrong. Because the Bible even talks about, you talking about the speck in your brother's eye, and you got a lodge in your own. So it always revert back to you. So dealing with your own self, like who really do you really want to deal with yourself? Do you even want to face you want to deal with the fact that the part you contribute? Because we always talk about what everybody else did, but what part did you play? Like I remember I went to God one time and I was telling him about all the people that I did wrong. And he was like, "Oh, but what about what you did?" And I was just like, "Well, we didn't come here to talk about that. Like we didn't come here to talk about we didn't come here to talk about me. We came to talk about them." And then the hard reality is the part that you play. And even in looking at the part that you play, even with that, is like, why did you do it? Like because we know that different traumas and different things in our life, we hear that statement that hurt people. But truth be told, there's possibly a great chance that you got hurt because the other person really was just trying to protect themselves because they've been afraid and they've been abandoned and they've been broken. I remember I can't remember what that show is, but I think that look, let me get these people name right. I think it's Kerry Washington that's in the show where they talk about her inner child on Hulu, and I was upset to come across that show because I thought I was gonna watch something good. And so I'm watching it, and I see the whoever scripted that. I'm mad at them because her inner child was literally dressed like her. Like every grown outfit she had on, it was a little girl outfit, and the little girl was just in there rocking her head, and she was running the show. But Kerry Washington and the show was mad at her father for abandoning her and for going to prison and leaving her. But then the show demonstrated that it showed his inner child hiding up under the bed. And I think he was abandoned as a kid. So it was literally like this whole like generational thing that was happening. And it's like us literally like we look outside of us and talk about the people that have hurt us when possibly, I'm not saying that's for everybody, where we have to even look at that we sometimes are the hurting people, and it's not that you're doing it intentionally. Like you really trying to protect yourself. I would when I was in that relationship, I would have loved to have hugged that man. Like, and maybe he thought like, she really don't care, or she this, or she that. But for the life of me, I just couldn't do it because I was not about to be. I wasn't gonna fall head over heels and hugs and kisses, and you abandon me. Oh no, no, I'll give you a little bit. If that is enough for you to say, then good. But I didn't even see it like that. It took for me to like heal, and I'm literally always having conversations with Shardel and getting this revelation. And I'm like, oh dang, I messed up. Like it was me. So the facing yourself, I recently even cried. Like I told myself, I said it's a lot of my life I really missed out on because I was disassociating. I wasn't living in the moment. I was living for tomorrow about what was going to happen next week, but I didn't live in the now. And it took me to go through what I just went through to realize that I was so ready to get to the next thing that there are many missed moments that I had. But what I had to do, encourage myself, I said, God, I got more years ahead of me than I had behind me. And now I can do better. Now I can live in the moment. I don't have to worry about what's going to happen tomorrow at 8 o'clock. No, what's happening tonight at 8 o'clock that I could enjoy. And so that facing yourself, it's horrible because you don't want to say that you was the bad friend or the bad girlfriend or the bad whatever about the part you played. But it's very well possible. And like I said, at the end of the day, um, healing is messy. And as we say that, I feel like this last little
Hold on,
part.
let me jump on that real quick.
Okay.
So even if we're talking about, because all of that is accurate. I remember I was having a conversation. I had a friend who went through the psychology program as well. He didn't end up being a therapist, but when I started dating Velvet, I was struggling. It was one
Mhm.
of those things of he was very affectionate, he was very loving, he was always affirming me, and I was like, I don't like it. I know you're good for me, but this feels icky. And so I went to him and I said, hey, I need you to pick my brain because I feel like there's something missing. I feel like this is healthy, but something is missing. So he's like, okay, tell me about your last relationship. So I'm running down the events and I'm telling him this and this is what happened and X, Y, and Z. And he's like, okay, you gave me the facts. I understand how the relationship went, but how did you feel? And I was so confused by the question because I was like, bro, I just told you the whole story. What do you mean? How did I feel? And he's like, you've explained it in facts, but you never explained it in emotion. And a lot of
Ooh.
times, that's how we function. It's like, oh, I can give you this information, but you're locking out a part of you that actually explains the deeper rooted issue that you're having. And so he's like, yeah, I got the relationship part. How did it make you feel? And I'm like, angry. And I think that was the first time I recognized that in the midst of this story, I actually had emotions that I wasn't addressing. And he's
Mm.
like, I'm angry. He's like, so I'm confused about why you're not angry. And I was like, you know what? I've never associated the emotion to all of the dirt. I never associated how I thought about the feelings around it. I just was navigating through it. And I think a lot of the like recognizing yourself and holding the mirror up is also like, so how did you feel about the stuff? Not just did you go through it, not just how did you go through it, not just, oh, appreciating that you got out of it or whatever the situation is, but what is the core feeling to what you're feeling? Because you have to address that too. And I feel like that was a locking point for me to recognize like that's the part I haven't dealt with. The anger, the fear, the like Browniesha said, you're not gonna do to me what happened to me before. And while I can give you the facts of what happened to me, and I can say, oh, well, you're not gonna cheat on me or you're not gonna do this. I wasn't addressing the emotion. You're not going to have me looking stupid. You're not going to have me out here feeling like I'm the naive one who, because these are all of the emotions that eventually got tacked on to me as I went through that last relationship. And so without saying, like, I don't want you to choose another girl over me. That's an emotion I don't want to feel. I don't want you because these are things that without me addressing were my problems, they happen all the time. Somebody saying like, oh, well, I'm dating you, but I also am dating you. No, you're not. What you're not going to do is have me feel like I have to compete. But again, that's an emotion. And so a lot of times without actually saying like, what was the core deep thing that I dealt with this, you don't really know what you're bringing into this new relationship. And so when that thing happens, and I'll be honest because it happens, I never addressed that. And so very early on, maybe within the first 6 months of me dating Velvet, he ended up talking to one of his ex-girls or whatever. She came back around. And he handled it appropriately. He addressed his feelings with her, decided he wasn't going to keep pursuing it. But when he came to tell me, it was like he broke my heart. Even though he was coming to say, I chose you, what hurt me was you still had somebody who could have been a competition for me. And I didn't recognize that that was a fear of if somebody came to my good thing, that now I got to fight for this relationship. I don't want to fight. Like I already asked God, like, I don't want to fight. I don't want to be second best. I want to be number one. And here you are. I thought you brought me what I wanted. And now he's telling me that this other girl, like, what is happening? But again, it was because I myself didn't recognize like that's something that's a boundary for me. And if I don't recognize that in myself and my emotion, holding that mirror up, you let people play in your face and then you don't even realize like I'm triggered and I'm triggered in a deep place. I'm not triggered on the surface where it's like, okay, I can do this, but it's like, hey, this could ruin everything. And look, I wasn't even hearing the man say, like, I chose you. I cut it off. I recognize my feelings. I recognize, and I was just like, no, you hurt me. You broke my heart. Like, get away from me. I don't want to talk to you. And even in that moment, I had to check, like, he chose you. that was what he was saying, and my brain had to rewire, like, exactly what you said you didn't want to happen. It's not happening, but it's you having to kind of go through the dirt again to say, like, can we get to it and have these conversations and actually be able to be forthcoming with the deeper emotions to say, like, am I really healed from the things that I went through? And you really don't know until you're faced with them again. And that's really what it comes down to. You think you're healed, you think you got it, then something comes and pulls that rug from under you, and you're like, whoa, whoa, I missed something. And so I feel like healing is messy because we're constantly having to put the mirror up. The mirror, you never really put the mirror down. And if you're being honest, you have to kind of keep the mirror up to check yourself, because it's really easy to fall back, especially when it's not addressed. It's so easy to be like, oh, well, this feels more comfortable because if I hold that mirror up, now I got to fix it. Now I got to say something. Now I got to communicate. Now I got to set a boundary. And we don't like doing that because that feels icky, but then we're not being true to ourselves. And I feel like that's where healing gets messy.
Listen, healing, it gets so messy, and it has been so messy. You talking and it just was like boom, that, boom, that. I'm like, nah, But it has been a continuous, it's been a continuous, like, just mess ball. And I think the greater part about it is the part that you dealing with your own self.
Yeah.
It's more of you dealing with you than actually what them outside of you have done. It's a because even if we talk about the bad relationships that you stayed in, then the question is, why did you stay? So then now you
Mm-hmm.
got to look in the mirror and be like,
Mm-hmm.
why did I say when I saw the
Mm-hmm.
clown a whole long time ago? Why why did
Mm.
why did I make the
Just
decision
keep painting my
to
face.
keep on painting my face, red flag after red
Mhm.
flag, and you still decide to stay? So then the question is, why?
Yeah.
What was in you that you felt that you had to settle for this? And then, I would, I'll be honest with people. They be like, all men are dogs, or I keep getting these dudes that da 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 da. Then, but why? Why do you keep finding yourself with the same type of dude? So then that means it's time for you to look inwardly and see what the problem is. And we don't often want to be, we nobody want to be like, oh, it was me. It was because he could be the bad dude, but you actually the problem because you're allowing yourself to keep being subjected to these kind of things. But again, the question is, but why? So facing yourself, it is a whole mess ball because then now whatever that why is, you then gotta work on the why. And it ain't telling how long the why been there. Like, if I be honest, my why, one of my whys tracked all the way back to, I'm thinking, when I was like 5 years old and I first felt abandoned. Now, I mean, that was years ago. Some years ago, I dealt with the thing, but I'm about to be 40. So you mean to tell me over 30 years later, the why from then is still showing up now, and I have to face myself? That is messy because you would think by now, Browniesha, you should have had it all together, and I didn't. I didn't have the tools. I mean, because if we go talk about the garden, there are garden tools. Like, there's some digging and uprooting you got to go down there and do. There is a work that has to be done, that you got to uproot some stuff, some mindsets, some things that you have been taught. Because I know for me, if I can't speak for nobody else, I found myself in things by way of things that I saw, or I was just taught to be that way. And so I had to unlearn, and unlearning is messy because as we get ready to go to this next question, unlearning means you working against the grain. You're going against it. And the next thing we were going to talk about is those who will no longer fit into your life, and you have to release them. We're talking about family, friends, your church environments, forgiving those who will never apologize, and breaking away from cultural dynamics. Because we, as a black people, we have ways that we do stuff that is totally unhealthy. It is unhealthy. Shardel, as I prepared to hand this conversation over to you, I we had a we had a conversation with this with a guy yesterday, and we were talking to him, and I honestly felt like, because we was joking about being the black woman, and you know how we are considered to be catty. We got this way about us. We loud, we go do this, we go all this other things, like. And so he was talking to us, but I feel like in that conversation he was waiting to say something for us to shut him down. He was waiting for us to be the loud, obnoxious, like his words didn't matter. And so it was, I think it surprised him that we were talking about a conversation of relationship. And I'm like, okay, I get that. But it's like he was side eyeing, like, but when they go clap back, like he was literally waiting for us to clap back. That's what I felt. And so, talk about unlearning certain things, because though we've had the conversation and we talked about the bad relationships, and we've all can gear towards that, right? There's still a part of us as a woman, or at least I say for myself, is where I don't want to. Why does my phone do that? It's where I don't want to. Uh, I always tell God, like, Lord, I don't want to be dishonoring or disrespectful towards a man. But that ain't what I've been taught. I've been taught the total opposite. I've been told to rip a hole in them if it need be. And I had to say, like, you know what? I don't care how bad he is. I don't want to be that person. And so now that's me working. It's going against the grain, because my crew, like, we male bash. And now the healthy version of me, like, I don't want to engage in it. Like, I don't want to engage in that conversation. And so, what's your take on that?
I feel like so the statement of like people are here for a reason and people are here for a season. I feel like we grew up in traditions. We grew up in family patterns. We grew up in church. We grew up, or religion, depending on how that look like. And it's one of these things of we learn how to be loyal. And I want to say that maybe it's a black thing, because I feel like loyalty is very different depending on cultures. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but we learn to stick it out. I think a lot of people will say like the black woman will stick it out until there's no more sticking it out. And other cultures will dip faster, will pivot faster. For whatever reason, we stuck to the loyalty thing. And I remember in middle school, high school, people were getting loyalty, tatted on them, and, honor, what was it? Um, it was different statements, pretty much claiming like I'm loyal to the soil, right? And so what we don't recognize is that we feel that loyalty about everything across the board. And so when people leave, when people walk away, when the church hurts us, when our family abandons us, we have this innate feeling of like, but I got to be loyal, and I have to change, and I have to accommodate, and I have to mold. And as a people, that's more hurtful than just saying like, it's okay to not be that. And it's because society will tell us, or our friends will tell us, oh, you've changed, you're different. And it's like, do you even see me for who I am? Because a lot of times these people who were there for whatever the season is. And I truly believe that the season could be a year, a season could be a relationship, a season could be ages, a season could be whatever the case is. Seasons are different for different people. But once you're out of the season, a lot of people can't really get jiggy with the fact that you're out of the season, because they want you there so bad. You were somebody to them in that season. And so it gets tricky in friendships when you're seeing like, hey, I'm evolving, I'm changing, I'm moving. I had a best friend, we were thick as thieves. And then I went to college. I moved to Riverside. She stayed in LA. I only came home to sing. And I assumed like, okay, what is 45 minutes south or, east? That's not that far. I'm coming home. I'm seeing you on the weekends. But just that difference of not having as much access to me made us grow apart. And then all of a sudden, I was acting funny and I was being different. And it's like, I'm in school. Like, there's nothing different about me. But then what I recognized is when I came home, something was different. And I had changed. And I was trying to do different things to try to be like, well, I'm the same me and I can still be here for you and we can still talk, but something was changing, right? And then what I ended up recognizing is there were a lot of things she didn't know about me and that she had prejudged on me or put on me. And so as I continued to move forward, she stayed right there. And her ideas and her perception of me stayed right there. And I feel like even outside of friendships, we're talking about church, right? People assume, let's say you have a position in church, oh well, that's what you're gonna do, and they keep you in this little box and you're like, I just want to grow. But then you have this loyalty of, well, I gotta stay there. The church I was going to, I loved my church, but I was like the only singer. And so I was like, sometimes I just want to come to church and not have to sing, but there's an obligation. You can't not sing. We need somebody to do the hymn. We need special music. Who's going to sing for prayer? And it's just like, can I just be in the congregation? And so COVID happened. And of course, I had no control over COVID. But it was one of these things of like, when COVID happened, there was a release of like, I can release this. I am no longer obligated. But if that hadn't happened, and let me mention, my ex-husband was at the church still. He was still somebody I was doing music with, still somebody I couldn't disconnect from because of the loyalty that we had for the ministry, right? And so at what point can we say like, this is not good for me, this is not healthy for me, even though you feel it, you know it, you sense it? And then one of the things you mentioned, Browniesha, is grieving the thing, right? So how do you actually say, I expected so much, I expected for my childhood best friend to be my best friend throughout the rest of my life. I expected you to be at my wedding when I got married. I expected you to be, and you're not. And I have to be okay with that. I have to be okay with grieving the ideas and the imagery and the dreams and the visions that I had for every situation, because we do that naturally. We kind of think in the future and kind of set ourselves up in every situation. And then when that crumbles, you're kind of left with like, well, what about me? And what we don't recognize is that what about me is because you were stuck. If you were actually thinking about yourself and considering your feelings, you would have never been stuck, because you would have communicated your needs. You would have communicated what was making you uncomfortable or whatever the case is. And so I feel like a lot of the times we kind of see it as a negative when people leave us, when people change, when people say, oh, I can't really be around you, or you're too different for me. And we're thinking like, well, maybe I did something wrong. Like, no, maybe you did something right. Maybe what you needed to do was let that person go. Maybe that person was holding you back. Maybe that person low-key was a hater and they were feeding you all this stuff. And yeah, they felt close, and yeah, they were a call away, but maybe there was a little passive aggressive. Maybe they said a couple of comments that really got under your skin, but they're your friend, but they're your family, and you get into this place of, okay, well, maybe if I change it a little bit, or maybe if I suppress it, or, oh, I can go around that group, but just not be around that person. You are still triggered. It's still going to bother you. And so at what point do you say, you know what, this isn't good for me? I know I had mentioned to you guys the ever-changing relationship I have with my dad, and I'll keep it cute because I know we're getting ready to run on time. But my dad's side of the family has a group chat. Very often he posts in that group chat, and I think I even mentioned on one of the pods that my birthday came around. Everybody's birthday comes around. It's a whole big soiree. They post, they talk, they send voice notes. And my dad decided not to post me this year, but he posted my sister. And I had told myself last year he had done the same thing, or the year before that when we weren't on good terms. Last year he did, but I think last year was a facade. So this year he did it again. He didn't post me, but he did post my sister. And so I deleted the chat. So my aunt reached out to me about a week or two ago, and she's like, hey, I haven't seen you post, haven't seen you say anything. Are you good? And I said, you know what? I recognize that it's hurting me more to pretend like I'm not hurt by the situation. It's hurting me more to just idly sit by and watch you guys continue to post, when I realize that I don't really have the relationship that you all have with my dad. And I don't want to sit through this any longer. And she said, you know what? That's okay. I love you. I will always be there for you. And if you don't want to be in this thread, you don't have to be. And I said, you know what? Finally, somebody sees me. Somebody sees that I didn't have to pretend. Somebody recognizes like something about this just is not right. And I have to set the boundary for myself. What everybody else will probably do is side with my dad, which is always what happens. Oh, she's not being a good daughter. Oh, she's not reaching out. Oh, she's not this. I'm all the things that you guys think I am. I am defiant. I am going to stand up for myself. I am assertive. And if you don't like it, then you're not really the family for me. Because the family that's out there for me wants me to be vocal, wants me to feel appreciated, wants me to be all of the things that you guys are trying to pretend like I shouldn't feel. And having to grieve the expectation because we live in this world of expectation and kind of saying, like, I'm going to have to step out of that and just be okay. Be okay with knowing that it's not going to be what it looks like. Be okay with knowing that I've grown apart because that happens. And just kind of saying, like, that's for the best instead of the negative that will always flip to be like, well, maybe it was me. Maybe I did something for them not to want me around. And it's like, you didn't. You're doing what's better for you. You're doing what lets you sleep at night. You're doing what gives you peace. And sometimes, if nobody else says it, you got to remind yourself, hey, I deleted that chat not because I wanted to be a rebel. I deleted that chat not because I wanted to ruffle feathers. No, I deleted that chat because you guys were triggering me. Because you guys were choosing to put everybody else on Front Street and leave me behind. I'm okay with stepping away. And sometimes in situations like that, you just have to be okay with it, knowing that better is ahead of you instead of continuing to look back and continuing to try to fix things that really are broken. It's like the imagery of like when you break a glass and you try to glue it back together. You can glue, you can stick, you can try to find the little pieces to, if you pour some water in that glass, it's still going to leak. There's going to be a piece somewhere that you missed, somewhere that's broken off. That cup is broken. And you're going to have to say, let me go back to Dollar Tree and get me another glass. Because at this point, I've tried enough. I tried the super glue. I tried the Elmer's glue. I tried duct tape. And at the end of the day, all of this effort and all of this energy that you put into this glass, it's broken. And it's okay to say, I might just need a new glass. And accept that and enjoy that and embrace that and pour your wine into your new glass without your leak and move on along with your life. I feel like that's the messy part of people walking away is recognizing like it's only going to make you better. And it's just the way in your perspective of seeing it. If you see it as a negative, it will be a negative. But if you see it as a way to turn that leaf and just create a new page, then you do that, you grow, you move forward, and those people are still watching. Those people are still looking for you. Those people still want to see where you're going. Let them. Let them. Because then they'll recognize, hey, she left me back there. I was supposed to be up here and she left me back there. And that's exactly where you were supposed to be. Healing is messy.
Listen, it's so much that you said. One thing is the way you transition out of that thing. I literally, again, we both have I have conversations with you guys outside of that. That's how even this platform has been created, right? That we now bring those phone conversations here to the podcast for it to be made live. And I just told Jeri earlier, we have people as a people, we have the freedom of choice, and we talk about it's oftentimes you'll hear people when they speak into you over your life about your new beginning or your change. They'll be like, everybody can't go with you. They couldn't go with you. So the reason why they couldn't go with you is because the choice that they made. If they hadn't made the right choice, then they would be right there with you, right? And so it's so hard sometimes when, if we talk about family, if we talk about friends, it's like they've been a part of your life for umpteen years, or with your family, it's like your whole life. And so you mean to tell me that I've been with these people my whole entire life, and now in order to get to where I'm going, or where the where I can be my true self is from in an unfamiliar place. It's with some unfamiliar people. And if I can say now talking to y'all, uh, 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 this is new for me. I ain't known y'all my whole life, but there are people that I've known my whole life that I cannot coexist in a space with because we are not on the same page. And they've made the choice to live the life they want to live the way they want to live it, and I've made the choice to live my life that I want to live it, and I don't want to. I no longer want to subject myself to toxic environments. I no longer want to. I even be honest with y'all. It was friendships that I had. I used to gossip, be up in there just gossiping with them. And as God started changing me, I was like, I don't want to do that no more. Like, I don't like that. I don't like the nasty girl attitude. So I don't want to do that. And they stopped being friends with me because I made the decision and that's okay though. Because if I want to be honest with you, be gossiping and being mad at people, that's a weight that I don't want. It's enough I got to carry around this voluptuous body. I don't need no extra weight. I don't need no extra weights to be sitting up here taking with me. And so healing is messy because you have to get to the point of making the decision to tell them like, you know what? I don't want to be friends with you no more. Or I don't want to do that no more. Or I don't want to come to the family cookout because all y'all finna do is sit there and talk about each other in the first place. And I no longer want to be a part of that. Like, that's not my thing. I rather empower and love because, truth be told, life is too short for me to be sitting up here thinking, in the family, thinking, well, she over there and she got her feelings hurt, or she this and it's cute. Like, that's not cute. But the healed version of you no longer want to be in those toxic environments, and you do gotta grieve that because I be feeling like I'm just all lonesome and by myself. I even feel how now that I'm dealing with things is that I'm going against my own culture in a sense because culturally I don't do what my culture do. I see it, I'll be like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't, and it's okay. As we segue into out of this, and we talk about grieving, I feel like even how I've made the choice to grieve in this season. It's like grieving. It's like, oh, they're in a better place. Oh, suck it up. Oh, pray your way through. And I love the Lord. I know I got a powerful anointing, and I ain't saying that for any accolades. I'm saying that for the point that even in my humanity, I am broken. So in my humanity, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna scream, I'm gonna snot, I'm gonna do all those things. And to other people, they was like, it don't take all that. It take all that for me. It might not take all that for you, but it takes all of that for me. And so healing has become very, very messy with me because I've decided that I don't want to do it how everybody else do it. They talk about not going to therapy. Therapy is a problem. Well, I'm going to therapy. You don't want to go, but I want to go because I feel like going in there and talking about it and dealing with my stuff is saving my life. You don't got to do it, but I want to do it. And that's messy because you can't have conversations with people. They be like, oh, I don't do stuff like that. Okay. Well, then you stay over there because I'm not going to even put myself in a place where you get to gaslight me because you don't want to go get no help. You don't want to talk about, I mean, I think it's safe enough to say this. I remember even, uh, it was, I saw a post and it was talking about how children will every child may get a different version of their parents. And so, though they got the same mama, they can have the same daddy, children can potentially see their parents from different lenses. You might got one child that's gonna think that their mom is just thrown away, and it's another one she an angel sent from heaven. And I knew on my healing journey, a part of me, I was angry with my mom about a lot of stuff. But if I have a conversation with my brother, he was looking at me like I was crazy. Like, what are you talking about? Like, she did the best that she could, and that's a fact. She did the best that she could, but in that I still was hurt. And so that's what I was looking at. I wasn't looking at the best that she could. I was looking at my hurt self and how being hurt, how it caused me to respond. And so sometimes when I was having conversations with my brother, it made it very, I feel like it was like some tension there. But the messy part about it was I had to stand on what I felt because I couldn't retreat and deny my feelings of what I felt because he didn't have the same experience as me. And now, like, I mean, I always loved my mom, but I definitely can say that I'm in a different space with my mother. I feel like it's even better because I took out the time to deal with my wounds. But that was messy because I took a chance of possibly being rolled off by my brother because he's like, "You tripping? You over here saying mama something something," and she was, but still I was hurt. And so those the conversations that we don't really talk about out loud that work going against the grain, it might they might write you off. You might if you wasn't a black sheep at first, you gonna be the black sheep now. Or she thinks she's so bougie. She thinks she got it all again. She over there doing this and she going to them retreats and we don't do that over there. So you take a chance of like the people you know in your home life. You take a great chance of no longer being a part of them people. And sometimes, if not all the time, you got to be willing to take the risk. I look at it as the same thing with Shardel saying that pain wasn't gonna kill me, and I just had to endure it. You really got to take the risk that maybe they won't ever deal with me again. But what is life like on the other side of this? Like on the other side of this pain, this mess, this anger, this I want to throw in a towel. What is life like? And I tell y'all, as we get ready to close the show out, and I wanted to make an announcement about something. I don't really like how the pain felt. But if I had to go through it all over again to walk in who I am now and love me for me, like the authentic Browniesha, I like to give hugs. I like to tell people that I love them. I am a jokester out of this world. Like I like her. And she was buried in mess because I didn't want to I deal with that mess all over again so I could come out here and be a clown and say something that I possibly don't got no business, saying. But I love me. I love being the real me and I ain't in survival mode no more. Like I love all of those things, but healing is messy, y'all. And so I wanted to tell the people about what we talked about the last time about the drop in. We don't have Annie here tonight, and again, thank you all for those of you that are still tuning in, whether it be Facebook or YouTube. Um, they always want to put me to work. I'm gonna blame y'all. That they always want to put me to work, but I'm always looking to create resolutions to issues. And so we come here, we talk about healing, and one of the things is being a minister within the church, and we can. Everybody might not be familiar with it, but you talk about deliverance, and so when you talk about deliverance, you can't go in there. Even from a therapy standpoint, you can't go in there and start calling stuff out or triggering stuff or trying to remind people of their pains if you don't have a resolution for them. You can't go wake up whatever that is in them and not have a resolution. Like you will mess a person up if you want to come and tell them to talk about a trauma that they had as a child, and it's not, you don't have a plan to walk them through that thing to get them to the other side. And so because we're coming here and because we're being raw and uncut about the journey, about our life experiences, we thought that it would be a great idea to do something that I think we all agreed to. I don't know who actually came up with the name. I don't know which one of us came up with it, but calling it the drop in. And so the healing clinic is going to be doing something we call the drop in, where we meet once a month, where you can come on Zoom and you can literally talk about some things that you are experiencing. We talking about coming from one of the books. Uh, is I'm frozen, y'all? Because I look like everybody frozen. Hey, hey, y'all. No, 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 no.
You're frozen. We can hear you though, but you are frozen.
And I don't like how it got me frozen with my mouth open like that because
Turn
that's
your
not
camera off and then turn it back on
like
because it's not messing with your audio.
Okay, so well, it won't even let me turn the camera off. You know what? I'm gonna tell you, it's not letting me turn the camera off. So what I wanted to say, if you guys could still hear me, we want to do the drop in. The reason why I wanted to announce it is to kind of get some people thoughts. If you would be one that want to tune in, on the drop in, we're going to be reading from a particular book, whatever that book is. It is going to be talking about healing. We also understand that some people don't even know where to start when it comes to healing. And so us literally even kind of helping people through that. I believe with our experiences, with Shardel being a therapist, even me myself, and just my own life experiences, and being a mental health coach, and then Jeri just what she's certified in things to do. I think that it would be good to have all of us, and even Annie, though she's not on here tonight, to have her. We all be in the room. We all speak and help. Those that come in, and so it's something we'll do once a month. We're going to start doing it in the month of June. It's called the Healing Clinic Drop In, and so you have the opportunity to come on Zoom, and we just talk about some stuff. And we're going to read whatever book we choose. We're going to read that book together and come back and discuss that book, and then different tips on how to help you heal, or different ideas and things, suggestions, I'll say, on how we believe that trying these different things will help you heal. So, for those of you that are still on, if you think that that's something that you would be interested in, put like I'm down in the comments. You guys make sure you like our posts, follow us on if you're on YouTube, follow us on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, make sure you follow our YouTube channel. Um, I don't know why are we still. Am I still froze? Can y'all still hear
Turn
me?
your camera back on. I want
Well,
to
I never.
mention too, because it's off right now. I wanted to
Oh,
mention too that the drop in is not going to be recorded. So for anybody who is afraid, to come and speak about their trauma, or feeling like, well, maybe they're going to have it on live or whatever the case is, that will not be the case. It will be a private link so that you can share. We do want it to be a safe space. So there will be no live recording. There will be no playback. It will just be a space for you to come in and just discuss what's on your heart, and kind of take away and get the feedback from us without feeling like everybody in the world will be able to hear you, because it's kind of intimidating to feel like you got 73,000 people in your business. So I just kind of wanted to mention that it will be a private room for you and anybody else who wants to participate, to feel vulnerable, to express, to share testimony, to ask questions, and just to receive from all of us.
so yeah, I'm not out because I actually. The funny thing is, I'm trying to see what happened to my computer. Mm, mm, mm. Can y'all still hear me? Oh my god. So the funny thing is, listen, I feel like y'all can still hold on. Is it working now? Let me say, y'all know my whole computer shut down.
You're back. Whoa.
Welcome back.
My whole computer shut off
You
and came
didn't
back on.
disconnect though. You
I
never
know because I was looking
disconnected.
at it on Facebook. I was watching it on Facebook, but I had no screen in front of me.
That's
Like
crazy.
no screen. What's up? Because they hate because these people lives supposed to be changed. So yeah, we want you guys to kind of give us let us know if you're interested. Either way, we're going to be marketing for this next week. I'm really excited to get with Jeri, Shardel, and Annie. I was excited when they was like, "We a team." I don't know, we the Clark sisters, y'all? What we was gonna be?
Did we ever conclude who we were?
I don't think we did. I don't think we concluded what we was gonna turn out.
The
I don't know
original
how to
Destiny's
say we
Child,
a
the
team.
4-member Destiny's Child.
Hey, whatever you want to call it. Whatever you want to call it. No, definitely I'm being silly, but I am glad that getting with my friends and us doing this. I feel like community work. I am definitely in a season of my life where I am fully stepping into um my purpose and calling, like all the way. And I say that to say because I know I'm called to do outreach. And so this healing, the healing clinic drop in, I think it's very, very important, because even some of the books we have talked about in private, they some good books, y'all. And so nobody that come in there, you ain't got no excuse why you ain't trying to get to the other side of that thing, because we gonna talk you through it. And so I am glad to team up with them and do this thing. Like I am really, really, really excited about it. And so will give you the information, but I definitely wanted to make sure I drop it here because I wanted to see, what people thoughts were. So if you're interested, make sure you say that I'm down. So when we start marketing and doing everything, I'll make sure that I get that over to you. So ladies, thank y'all. Shardel, thank you, because you are in the ATL and you stayed up to have a conversation. Jeri, thank you, because we know you got to get them babies ready for school, and you and you stayed up to come on and talk about healing this messy. I really hope that you guys were blessed by some of the things that were shared. We want to make sure, I just continuously want to promote the following us on if you following us on YouTube, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Make sure y'all get in everywhere. Blog Talk Radio, it really was. They sent them numbers, and it was over 73,000. I think that that's insane. I really, I feel like, I think it's really, really insane. Um, to go back and them numbers be so high, I might just look into it. Is it like for everybody's show? Because I know, why is my thing doing this? When I tell y'all, why? Thinking on my nerve. I'm gonna have to check them because they messing up my flow. We recorded and they in my background. Um, but no, to see that 73,000, it's like, that's nothing but God, because I just want to read to God's people. I would just want God to his children, his sons and daughters, to be healed. One of the scriptures that I stand on is over there in John, where he says, "What the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy." He says, "But I come that you have life and that you have it more abundantly." It is my mission. It's my mission to minister to all God's people about being healed and whole and walking an abundant life. And so that's what we're about on the Healing Clinic. So you guys make sure you be tapped in. Make sure you subscribe to YouTube so you notify when we are doing, doing some special things. We are going to do a Healing Clinic live. It was originally set for June 22nd, but I had to postpone it because anybody that knows Browniesha, I'm a serial entrepreneur and I be having a billion things going on. So I'm trying to make sure I manage everything well. And it's been going well having it online. I think the reach is very much larger to continuously do it online. So thank you guys for tuning in. And again, ladies, thank you guys for hopping on with me tonight. And so I will be chatting with y'all later. Bye bye.